Hi friends, this is Bijou Baker. I'm Maria. When I first started my channel, I was letting my family and friends know, I think I'm going to give this a shot. And I got the first email right off the boat is a friend of mine asking me to show him how to make a good pie crust. Yeah, I'll get to it. Many months later, okay, a year later, I got to it. And I made a video on making the flakiest, easiest pie crust I've ever made. And a couple of days ago, I got an email from someone asking me for the same thing. Do you have a pie crust? And I said, absolutely. So I go to my YouTube channel and I look for it and it's gone. I may have deleted it by accident. So here we are. We're going to make the perfect flaky pie crust. But that's okay because I have a couple pies I'm going to make with it. So stick around for those. We tend to be really intimidated by pie crusts. 5 or 6 ingredients. That's it. Don't be intimidated by 5 or 6 ingredients. It's the technique that will kind of stump you. Well, have I got tips and tricks for you, baby. I'm going to show you a few things for this pie crust that if pie crust behave, Maria. If pie crusts intimidate you, let's knock that out of the park. And I'm going to show you a few things on how to make this pretty effortlessly. You'd be surprised. So here are, I'm not going to give you a list of ingredients because I'm just going to tell you as I'm going through them. Trip and tip number one. Trick number 1, keep your ingredients cold. Obviously not the flour and such, but you're going to use butter and you're going to use shortening. Keep them cold. One of the biggest tricks I can have for you is I grate my butter. I grate it. Seriously. And here's why. Here, check it out. Right? So it's going to incorporate so much easier. I'm not going to have to try to, find the tiny pieces and make them smaller because they're already small. And I did this last night. So it'll wait for me for whenever I'm ready, but keep it chilled until you're ready to use it. The second thing is do the same thing with your shortening. Shortening is what's going to give you that flakiness. It's just like butter, but it's the stuff that makes crisp. Crisp is what you get when you use shortening. Here's why. I said here's why. What I meant is here's how. And I have it in a metal dish. And again, that is in a metal measuring cup. And that also stayed overnight. So those two are nice and chilled. I have some, below this link, there's a video on a 3-ingredient fondant. The third ingredient, which is a shortening, it's not really part of the fondant. And I have several requests and comments about asking me about shortening and what you can use instead of shortening for that ingredient, for that recipe. Shortening is, some countries don't have shortening. What do I know? But you guys probably have stuff that we don't have that might be even better. So it's like butter. It's got the consistency of butter, but it's a vegetable. It's from the vegetable. It's not an animal fat. So for the fondant, you could use butter, or I would stick with like a vegetable oil or cooking spray. And that, for the fondant, sorry, I'm going back and forth. The fondant is just to keep it from sticking. Okay, getting back to the pie crust. I'm just going to walk you through it, and you guys are going to be so amazed. The third trick, is it the third one? I'm going to say, but the last trick is how to roll it out. That is, I got to say, it's just brilliant. And that one really eliminates the fear in this. So let's play. Okay, So I have 3 cups of flour and a 1/4 cup of sugar, a teaspoon of salt, and a teaspoon of cinnamon. Stop the presses. Okay, I'm gonna mix this up. So, cinnamon. Yep, that's what I said. Now here's the part that's gonna really impress your taste buds. If you're making a sweet pie, you can put in cinnamon or a lot less nutmeg or cardamom or whatever flavor you want, because if you can add flavor, add it. So for my sweet pies, I put in cinnamon because Stop it. It doesn't matter which pie really. As off the top of my head, I can't think of any pie that doesn't have cinnamon or that wouldn't benefit from cinnamon. So cinnamon is what I use for my sweet pies. Now, when it comes time to make savory pies, well, if I'm going to use the same crust recipe, I'll put in ground garlic, ground rosemary, ground thyme, ground anything, even cardamom, because you want the inside to really be the showcase, the showstopper, but the pie crust, yeah, you kind of want to have that too. And even with the savory pie crusts, I still use the sugar. That also helps make it crispy. So, and it tastes good because it's sugar. Sorry. So, this is mixed and we're going to get the butter. All right. So, I'm going to put the whole thing in. It is so delicate. It's all right. It's absolutely all right. Now for this part, I'm going to use a pastry cutter. When it comes time to putting it all together with the water, then I'm going to use my hands. And you know me, I'm not about leaving anything on the table. Okay, so now I'm going to just take the flour and kind of try to break it up and coat it. I know it sounds strange, but it won't melt. It won't melt as fast or as easily if it's coated. Okay, and just cut away. And this part goes really fast because most of it's done already. The butter, kind of a cool thing about how it stays tiny, and you think it's all gone, but it's not. It's all there. All right, that's about it. I don't need it to do much more than that. Now I'm going to add the shortening. When I add the shortening, I'm going to just kind of take it in pinches and drop it in. If you are from another country, I would Google shortening substitutes. I haven't, only because I've never needed to, but there's bound to be something that you guys have that will replace shortening. I'll tell you, the things I don't know can fill the Grand Canyon. All right. And cut it one more time. Look, you guys, we're almost done. We're only going to add one more thing. And keeping your ingredients cold, I just cannot express enough how important that is. The shortening obviously is in bigger chunks than the butter was, so it's going to take a little bit more work, but not much. All right, that's good. You'll have pebbles and bits and such. That's fine. I want to from here on out, I'm going to use my hands. Another trick is not to over knead this dough. well, what does that mean? Ordinarily, you know, if you see my videos, you see that I like to fast forward a lot of the stuff that's repetitive because I don't want you to get bored. I'm not going to do that this time because I want you to see exactly how long it takes. When I say not to over knead it, it could be, what is it, 2 minutes? It could be 9 minutes. What is over kneading? If you don't know if you don't know what the end result is, you don't know what over kneading is. So I'm going to show you that part. The second thing I want to show you is when you knead with your hands, you're only going to use your fingertips. That's it. Okay, kind of a weird thing, and do this for me if you would, okay? Take your fingertips and just touch them to your lips. So depending on, I mean, providing they're not just in water, it's a cool temperature. Put the palm of your hand to your lips. Hot, right? That will melt. That will melt the butter. This one won't. I know, right? But it matters. I'm telling you guys, it matters. So fingertips only, and then you're not going to over knead it. And so again, this part I'm just going to work, and I'll tell you, I'm going to put in the water. I'm going to get it going, and then I'll let you know when the actual work begins. Okay, I'll just give you a thumb up. All right. I know it matters. Okay, so I'm going to get half a cup of water, and I have ice water, and I have a cup. I just put ice and water. I didn't measure or anything like that. I will do that here because I really want the coldest water I can possibly get. That's pretty darn cold. All right, so I'm going to put this in, and then it'll just be my hands. Take off my ring. And yes, this is going to be very cold. The butter's cold and this is cold. So what I'm really doing right now is I'm just wetting the flour. I'm just getting the water mixed around. All right. No, it's not. It's not done, but this is where the work is going to start. Again, just my fingertips, and this is where you start so you don't over knead, okay? You mush, you pinch, you try to stay away from the palm of your hand, but it's really only a minute or two. And you don't knead this like you do bread. That's not what you're doing. You're really just kind of pinching it to get to mix the water around. Okay, from here, I'm going to empty it. Do as I say, not as I do. What a mess. What a dork. Okay, fingertips. Now, it's going to look drier than it is. Okay, you're going to say, this can't possibly work. It works, I promise you. Just take your time, guys. It'll play with you. You see the ball forming. This is the gold right here. And yes, I am using the palm of my hands, but I mean, at some point you gotta do what you gotta do. But for the most part, if you're not using it, or if you can avoid using the palm of your hand, then by all means. It's really funny. You can see the cinnamon specks in there. Watch me get a blurry picture. You can. And it's just subtle enough in flavor, not to hide your dish. Okay? That's it. That's it. It looks like, man, that's terrible. It's not. It's beautiful. So I'm going to cut this in half, and this makes 2 pie crusts. This one I'm going to cover, but this one I'm going to roll out and make. It's funny because this is a little more wet than that. Yes. All right, so the last trick, let me clean up and I'm going to show it. Okay, so now we're ready to roll it. I'm going to show you the same thing I do with my rolled sugar cookies, or anything rolled that I have to go re-chill. I love this trick the most. So I use a lot of plastic wrap, but that's all right. I don't mind. So I take 2 pieces of plastic wrap right next to each other. You can do parchment paper if you'd like. To me, parchment paper kind of creases. All right, and then I'm going to take my disc. You're going to get these cracks. Don't worry about it. I mean, it's flaky. It's flaky. But we're going beyond the crackle. I think that was from a kids' movie. Another one on top. I like another 2 on top. All right, now I'm gonna roll. And here's why I love this, okay? So I'm just gonna get a disc. I have an 8 or 9 inch pan. I guess you need to know that. So I'm gonna go the bottom of the pan plus the sides plus the extra. So my table is on wheels, so if you see jiggling, it's because it's on wheels. And the great thing about this recipe is because you don't have to be perfect, because it patches up really well. Okay, now, so it's perfect, it's flat, it's nice. So this is where it comes in so perfectly. So let's say you have to switch it over. How easy is that? That's all you gotta do to change it, right? I dig that. That's probably my favorite part. So pies, I'm going to admit, pies used to intimidate me. And then one day I just decided I'm going to get on a roll and make so many pies where it's not the issue. And it's not the issue. So my pan, it's just one of those reusable pans that you get at the cake store, at the pie shops. So that's obviously plenty. So from here, this is going to go on a cookie sheet, and it's going to chill. It does have to chill. It has to chill because the butter and the shortening need to kind of get back together and get tough and get ready to go in the oven. So you can do it one of 2 ways. You can do it here, chill it, take it out, let it come to room temperature, and make sure it's pliable. This is pliable. If it can't do this, it's not ready to use. If you're starting to pull it away and it kind of cracks, okay, you can still use it. Just kind of pinch the seam back, but you need it to come back to this consistency. If you don't want to wait, then you can put it in the pan now. You know what? I'll do that just because I've got 2 to make, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it in the pan now. Bless it or Blessed are the flexible babies. All right, so I'm taking off the top. You can see the batches of butter. It's still going to go back in the refrigerator. It has to do its thing. And I'm just going to lift it and push it in. Lift the sides and push it in. This one is going to be a lemon meringue pie that I'm going to do next. So make sure to come look for that. All right, as weird as this all may look, this is perfect. This will go in the refrigerator. I'm not going to trim the edges until it's full, or until, I'm sorry, until I bake it. But until then, this is the finished pie crust. Okay, so the cool part about this one is that you can freeze this. This one is going to be for a pumpkin pie I'm going to make, but I'm not making that just yet. So I've got the crust made. I'd be silly not to save it for something else. This will stay in the freezer for about, I don't know, about a month or so. It's not going to last that long, but it can. If you wanted to kind of roll it up against something, you can, and then as you thaw it, very gently and slowly thaw it until it's pliable again. Don't use it unless it's pliable. It's just going to save you heartache and trouble. That's why I say that. That's it. That's the pie crust broken down. Someone said, why do you always say that's it, like it's that easy? Because I promise you, it is. It intimidates you up front, but when you know what you're doing and when you know how to sidestep things that could be issues, it becomes pretty easy. So give this a try. Okay, so Thanksgiving's coming up. Make this. Go get store-bought filling if you want to, just to try the crust. Makes a top and a bottom or 2 single pies. I'm working with 2 single pies. I'm going to be actually making the lemon meringue pie next, using that very crust. So stick around for that. And until next time, my friends, happy baking.
Ah, that was fun. Don't forget to like and subscribe.